All right, top 8. Like I said, Gavone, a little bit of a newcomer to the top cut here, and taking on a very experienced player in Fresh Lobster, making his return to the tournament scene prior to the PCS trophy last week. He had not really competed for a little while, but now he's back and better than ever, and we'll see if he can go ahead and take down Gavone or the Chad Stride, whatever you want to call him. Let's get into this game. Top 8, Duels of Runeterra, number 15, North America.
And that's why it's our last cast. That's reason number 2.
I had to, man. I had to. Especially because we don't see that card a whole lot. But it's sure as hell a very fun card when we do see it. That's for sure.
Yeah, we're not even going to get to see it now, as Lobster has brought deep but isn't playing any copies of the Shipwreck Quarter. Could see it off Jaw Hunters. Look, I'm not going to rule anything out. I still cannot get over. I think it was Sudrakon stole the Jaw Hunters, got the Shipwreck Quarter, got the right treasure that he needed, found something kind of lethal off of it. It was insane.
You are 100% right about that, my good friend. So we'll see if we have some insanity similar to that in this game. Looks like both of them are in the challenge screen. Again, gonna have both hands for Fresh Lobster versus Gavone here. Should be a pretty cool matchup. What do we have on the side? We saw Fresh Lobster play earlier. He's played, that's right, he's played Deep, Karma Ezreal, and Midrange Frostbite, right?
Yep, boom. And then on the side of Gavone, we have Midrange Frostbite, P&Z Nab-ish, and the Elise Garen Harrowing Bannerman.
And it looks like we are about to get into the games. I'm going to swing it on over. Boom! Game number 1, baby. Fresh Lobster versus Gavone. Let's see who will take it away and be able to advance here to the top 4 of Duels of Runeterra number 15. NA.
I actually got to update Smash because it looks like Trivio and Trivio and Black Boss actually still waiting on their opponents. Nola Gold and Nagashi 322 still in their top 16 matches. Zinc and Surquaz still in their top 16 matches.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
At this point, I feel like I have to start checking for spooky karmas.
Oh, don't say that. Don't tell me
I know
that.
one of you brought it.
So we'll see here if I'm actually going to adjust this a little bit so it looks a little prettier for you guys. And there we go. So we'll see Fresh Lobster here with Concussive Palm, Chump Wump, Eye, and Steel Tempest. See what he decides to mulligan away here versus this Demacia Callista deck, this iteration that we've seen from a few people pop up here. And just decided to keep all of it. Okay, I don't mind this. I mean, you do have 2 stuns. You have 2 activators for the Eye of the Dragon, and 2 Eye of the Dragons now to just start getting some of those Dragonlings down, as well as a Chump Blocker. Seems like an okay hand into this matchup.
Oh, for sure. Chump Wump's kind of a... He doesn't get as much value in this matchup, I feel, as he does in other matchups, just because Bannerman does have so many 3-attack units available to it. Typically, in some of the NAB matchups outside of Jagged Butcher, Chump Wump gets to trade with 3 drops or 4 drops. Here it's going to be trading with 2 drops, and that doesn't feel very good at all. Now with the War Chef picked up, could even trade with a Fleet Feather Tracker, and just the mana inefficiency of that Chump Wump trade feels so bad. But getting down the 2 Eye of the Dragon, going to stalwart a lot of the aggression out of Gavone. Going to feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah, and both eyes down. Whew, feels really good. Definitely something you want in this matchup. The single combat will likely take care of one of them. We'll see, this War Chef coming down. We'll see if Fresh Lobster decides to prioritize the removal of it like we've seen so much out of everybody but Gavone as of late. But the Grizzled Ranger coming down on the side of Gavone as well. Going to be a lot of aggression, so I imagine we'll start to see something come out here from Fresh Lobster. Maybe Static Shock onto the Grizzled Ranger. Doesn't feel that great. Possibly even develop the Chump Wump for a Chump Blocker.
I think the Concussive Palm is very appealing here. Stunning a scout always feels good. Static Shock, you don't have a clean trade onto the Badger Bear that comes out of it. You really don't want to have to block with either of these Eye of the Dragons if you don't have to. Looks like we're actually just going to start off with the War Chef kill instead.
Oh, so you mean he's prioritizing the War Chef as...
Yeah, what a crazy concept. And the Concussive Palm looks like it will come down as well onto this Grizzled Ranger. And You could go for the gotcha in combat, but then you open yourself up to losing your Tail of the Dragon to a Ranger's Resolve out of your opponent, as well as now the Ranger's Resolve would have to come out here onto the war to save the War Chef, and we would at least know that that's happening going into combat. We would get to know what the sort of ramifications of these blocks would be.
There we go. And now, my only thing is, so right after I said, you know, a few of those cards, thinking of the gotcha onto the War Chef and stuff like that, and then the concussive palm, it felt like the concussive palm onto the Grizzled Ranger might just be good in and of itself, and then you could go ahead and trade the 3-2 with the War Chefs, but instead deciding to use the gotcha on the War Chefs to kind of avoid that buff from coming out this turn. And it looks like, I think we're just going to take 6 damage to the face here, which is definitely dangerous, but I think you got to do it.
It really sucks losing not only your Ezreal target and your Tail of the Dragon to that single combat, but you, as we said, you don't want to block with this copy of Eyes of the Dragon, especially because you are getting a Dragonling next turn. Actually, I don't think you are. I think the gotcha fizzled and you don't get the Dragonling.
Yeah, it feels really bad. It does have the Chump Wump to develop some sort of blocker, though. This is going to be rough. I think that Dragonling, I think, is actually pretty big, though. Not being able to get that additional 2 lifesteal on this turn is going to put Freshlobster really far behind here, because we're going to start to see Gavone just develop some more units, probably a Garen this turn. And Garen, if this bad boy is able to get a strike in, level up here in the next couple of turns, ooh, it's going to be rough, especially with a single combat. I imagine we might see an attack followed by a single combat next turn. Actually, there'll only be 6 all right, no, next turn he could do that. He play the Grizzled Ranger and single combat. So many thoughts going through my head.
Yeah, it definitely feels very reasonable to get something like that done. Here we're going to see the Garen doesn't leave us with single combat mana for the turn, but are we really worried about that? I mean, Lobster, if he wants to, could attack with his Chump Wump and just have it die to the Brightsteel Protector. I don't think he's going to go for something like that. You know, maybe you have to... It would be so weirdly ten-headed to go like, oh, you know, maybe I can bait Chad into blocking with the Garen, and then, oh, wait, I don't actually have the Mystic Shot to punish this. Like, that's not a bait. That's just a bad play if you don't actually have the punish. Chump Wump almost certainly just gets blocked by the Brightsteel Protector.
Yeah, 100%.
I think what he's thinking about right now is, do I put these shrooms into my opponent's deck to get the Dragonling back out?
Yeah, I think that's a huge consideration. I mean, you are going to stuff a lot of damage if you do, you know, decide to go that route. I think you can live next turn without doing that, just because you have this Steel Tempest in hand. So I think you can avoid doing that at least for one more turn. But even so, this is just really rough. Oh, the other good thing too, though, is with the Static Shock, he could potentially kill this Garen, blocking it.
But do you go for the kill on the Garen, or do you go for the stun on the Garen? Because if there's a Ranger's Resolve that comes out of Gavone, you are in some serious trouble.
Yeah, Ranger's Resolve would completely decimate that game plan. I don't know. I mean, stun always feels good, but obviously seeing a Grizzled Ranger come down too, another great stun target like you just mentioned. This is definitely going to be interesting to see how Freshlobster navigates or decides to navigate this turn.
So now you do have Static Shock onto Grizzled Ranger Garen.
Mm-hmm.
That would feel pretty good. You could even do that now, see if you do get the Ranger's Resolve out of your opponent, then you know that you have to stun the Garen. You could wait until you're in combat as well, throw out the Chump Wump as a blocker, throw out the Static Shock, then if the Ranger's Resolve comes down, you throw the stun out onto the Garen. It does feel bad to throw out 2 cards in response to something like this, though. You know, it does behoove you to stop the scout attack, but you don't have a great answer for this Grizzled Ranger anyway. I like hitting the Garen here, as it does prevent your opponent from attacking with it full stop, but you probably have to offer up your Chump Wump onto one of these Badger Bears.
Yeah, it's probably going to be what we see here. And the Static Shock, it looks like he's going to go for the block with the Chump Wump afterwards onto the Garen, possibly even saving the stun for another turn, like just taking more damage here. Ooh.
I was kind of curious if we were going to see like single combat number 2 trying to fizzle out a spell, get my Grizzled Ranger to kill your Chump Wump. Instead, it is going to offer up the attacks. I mean, because clearing out the Chump Wump means Garen is, you know, free to attack. We don't have to worry about this Chump Wump, because if you single combat in combat to protect the Garen, then you're losing, you know, the attacker as well. It feels a little bit worse. I think you just attack with everything except the Garen here on the side of Chad.
Yeah, we'll see here in a second what ends up happening with these blocks. And I think you just toss this Chump Wump under the Garen. I think the question is, do you risk saving this Eye of the Dragon? Like, do you just take all this damage to face? I mean, Gavone is not playing Riposte, right? Or is he?
He is, I want to say not. No, he is not.
Okay, so there's no way that Gavone has lethal here. He also does not have enough mana for Relentless Pursuit. So, yeah, looks like Freshlobster is going to go ahead and agree. Say, you don't have lethal. I'm going to take the risk. Try to get an additional Dragonling on board next turn. Finally start utilizing this Eye of the Dragon engine that I have here. And gets rid of the Garen, which is a pretty big deal.
Oh, so we have word. There was supposed to be another cast. Cass and Blevins are going to make the return to Duels of Runeterra, but we just got word from Blevins that Casanova's power went out and will not actually be joining us with the stream today. First, this guy can't catch a break. First misses out on Fight Night. Now misses out on Duels of Runeterra.
Wow, that's like, do you want to talk about... All right, it makes me feel a little bit better about my computer. Because, like...
Look, you scared me when 3 minutes before cast, this man's Skype crashes, and he doesn't call me back for 10 minutes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, my problem is just like, oh, my computer decides it needs to restart, or like, I disconnect from the internet but then reconnect instantly, so I just have to like turn my stream back on. So I feel a little bit better that I'm not losing internet or power. So it's probably a lot worse, but it feels really bad. That poor man. Blevins, thank you for the update. Always keeping us posted in chat of the goings-ons. But unfortunately, we couldn't have you guys beside us to make this glorious announcement later on. Just, again, throwing that out there for all you fine folk.
We actually spoiled it. We're turning into dragons.
Oh, yeah. Oh, why did you tell everybody?
Because it's really cool,
What?
and I can't hold it back anymore. Speaking of not being able to hold back anymore, Chad probably going to go for a Relentless Pursuit this turn. Probably going to get denied. But I think he's got a pretty good shot at picking it up on the next turn. I think Bannerman Relentless Pursuit is a play that really behooves him this time around. We're actually just going to see Gotcha straight away onto this Badger Bear.
Yeah,
I mean, do you Rangers resolve this?
Oh.
I don't think you do. I think Bannerman Relentless is just too clean of a play.
Yeah, and so this is interesting. I mean, Freshlobster has a real possibility to stabilize here, though, right?
Ooh, that's a big whiff.
Yeah, that is... Well, it's good for Freshlobster.
That is another check mark against Elise. Whiffs Bannerman.
Does that... Yeah, right. Well, I guess that's just a check mark against every region ever.
No. It's only a check mark against the cards I don't like.
So, yeah, Bannerman gonna whiff. We actually... Wait, how many Shadow... Wait, there's 2 Harrowing? Or no, is
2 Harrowing, 3 Elise.
3 Elise. Okay, so yeah, it's like if you ever play more than 3 cards, I feel you end up whiffing a lot more than you want. Generally, when somebody just plays like 3 of 1 champion, it works out decently, but any more than that, you're screwed.
I don't think it matters too much here. I mean, Lobster looks like he's going to develop this Chump Wump. That saves the Deny mana. If he plays Karma, he loses.
Yeah, I was just looking at that, like, possibly... Oh, don't do it. Don't do it.
Lobster, generally a very respectful player of the outs his opponent could have, says, you know what, maybe Lobster mathed it out, and if the Relentless Pursuit is there, you still don't beat it, even with the Chump Wump Deny.
Yeah.
Yeah, Inside of Aegis for your 0 mana cards, get the Daring Poro, the Poro discard spell, summon your 2 elusive Poros.
Where's the Poro cannon when you need it?
Ritual of Renewal will not do it.
If he had 7 mana, it would have done it.
Yeah.
Wow, so Freshlobster going down in game 1 there. Gavone gonna take it away. Wow, okay. So already off to a pretty good start here on the side of Gavone. We'll see if he's able to take this one away from Freshlobster and advance to the top 4. There we go. There we go. Got that one right in there. Nice. Okay.
So, looking through Gavone's lineup, this Bannerman deck isn't really one that I was worried about him picking up a win with. Bannerman, very solid deck. We'll consistently see that pick up a win. We don't really see players struggle to find a win with that deck. I think the Gangplank deck is where I'm more worried. That doesn't have a great matchup into Deep, especially. Ezreal Karma, it gets a little bit questionable. You know, it is like one of those go wide decks. Maybe Karma, you have the option to aggro out the Karma Ezreal Frostbite mid-range. I don't think you love your matchup into something like that. So I think that the weak point for Gavone that we're going to have to see how it goes is this Gangplank deck that he is going to take into the Deep right now. Granted, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird because he has this elusive Citrus Courier backup plan, but that doesn't really work into the Abyssal Eye. So it feels like Lobster has all of his bases covered between Nautilus for the Riptide Rex, Abyssal Eye for the elusive package, and we've seen Gavone really struggle to maintain cards in this deck.
Yeah. I got to agree with you. That is 100% for sure. We'll see if Fresh Lobster is able to get off to the kind of start that he needs here with just getting some chump blockers, getting some things that are going to allow him to go deep to get this turn 7 Nautilus down. And honestly, not the greatest hand. I mean, if he's able to get this Maokai to stick and get some procs of the Maokai effect off, it might work out okay for him, but not looking too hot.
Oh, yeah, we don't see him hold cards very well. And then to prove me wrong, he opens 4 cards that are going to steal cards away from Lobster.
Yep. Oh, boy.
This is as advantage holding of a hand as you could possibly open for Gavone.
This is going to be like that clip that Yang Zera put up on Twitter of, like, pulling all the pilfered goods from his opponent's deck. Fresh Lobster not playing pilfered goods, so fortunately that won't actually happen, but we're about to see some sort of good cards ripped from Fresh Lobster's deck at some point. Ooh, both
Yang Zera twice over like the last week has just like put up clips on Twitter of me saying that Brazil's the best region.
I mean,
so losing the jettisons there is actually really big because those are absolutely dud hits for Chad, as well as cards that Lobster would like to draw to accelerate the plan.
Yeah, so now, that's 100% right. So Gavone's going to have a little bit more likely of a chance to steal something that's more worthwhile here. And Fresh Lobster, I mean, those are less jettisons that he could potentially draw to go deep faster. We're going to see this Make It Rain come out here.
I don't like that.
I mean, he's valuing just really getting rid of this Dead Bloom Wanderer.
Yeah, I just like, that was my activator for the double... my double black market merchant next turn. I would believe that we're going to see the Yordle Grifter now. We're not going to get a discount onto that card, but going for the discount onto that would be really greedy. And it's just a Vile Feast. Not getting the discount doesn't matter too much. I'm trying to figure... I think we're 2 turns off of going for, like, double merchant pilfered goods.
What does that would be? 5. Yeah, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He has 1 spell mana. Yeah, it would have to be on his next attack turn, Gavone, to be able to get that off there. But you got to figure, I mean, turn 5 coming up too. You might even see... something like the Slippery Wave Rider come down. It really depends on what Fresh Lobster gets down on the field here. And we'll see if this... I mean, Fresh Lobster, I feel, needs this Maokai engine to do some work here. If Maokai is not able to get multiple triggers of the saplings off, I don't think this is going to, be looking too good for Fresh Lobster.
Definitely not. But Gavone doesn't have great answers for the Maokai. He does have Thermogenic Beam in his deck, which is sort of one thing that he does have over other Nab decks in terms of Maokai removal, but I think Lobster might be inclined to block here and just get blown out by that Vile Feast that Gavone did steal away. I mean, things are looking rough for Lobster. I think he's just going to skip the block. That is going to be the case. You cannot play risky with this Maokai. It's too much value to let this survive into the next turn and get the Jaw Hunters down. If you do block there, you open yourself up to a 1-mana Thermo Beam.
Yeah.
So now, Chad just staring down his opponent. Lobster, you have the priority. Do you try and pass and get fancy with this Jaw Hunters, or do you just slam it down? Personally, I think you just slam it down. If you pass and get fancy, I think that favors Gavone here, actually, banking that spell mana into the big steal turn.
Yeah, and does decide to go ahead and get that Jaw Hunters down. Jaw Hunters such a damn good card. It's just such a good card. And, I mean, it will likely get Vile Feasted here, but pulling a Beast from below is not bad as well. My bigger concern, though, is this Slippery Wave Rider. Right now, Fresh Lobster doesn't really have a good answer to it unless he's able to... Oh, sorry, the Jaw Hunters. All right, never mind. Played
Gavone has Vile Feast.
He has the Vile Feast. So anything beyond the Jaw Hunters doesn't look like Fresh Lobster has that right now. Has an Abyssal Eye to kind of possibly trade a block with it if he wants to do that, but not going to go deep anytime soon.
Yeah, I believe Gavone would just take the open attack here, but even if he doesn't, like, Lobster, if you don't want to take the damage from the Wave Rider, you're not going deep anytime soon. You would have to block with the Abyssal Eye and just let it die, and that really doesn't feel good. This is, it feels like Abyssal Eye is the backup win condition for the deck. Like, it goes, Nautilus, flood the board, Abyssal Eye, Maokai, and then we kind of go from there on terms of win conditions. But so often we see the Sea Monster player extremely behind, and then they just get down 2 Abyssal Eye in a turn, draw 2 cards, have, deal 12 damage to their opponent, but the elusives on the side of Gavone going to take that a little bit more off the table. Go for this open attack. This is a beautiful open attack. You want to develop you're still 1 mana off of doing the merchant pilfered goods, but I think it's fine to just develop double merchant, go for the goods next turn, since you do have 2 warning shot and your opponent doesn't play Withering Wail.
Yeah, no Withering Wail, definitely a big deal here. I feel like Withering Wail has, for the most part, again, because we've seen less representation of aggro, it's kind of fallen off.
It's actually, I mean, Lobster ran, I'm not crazy, right? Lobster ran 2 Whale in PCS on Saturday.
Was he the one? I know there was one person running 2 whale, 2 grass, like 2 of everything. Was it Lobster?
I'm pretty sure I thought Lobster ran 2 whale, no grasp.
I don't know. Oh, actually, no. I think you're right. It was 2. Yeah, it was 2 whale, no grasp. Yep. I concur.
Then switched over to 3 grasp, no whale for this tournament.
Yeah. So interesting. I mean, maybe just
or 2 grasp, no whale.
Maybe just thinking there would be more aggro in the other tournament in PCS, which I don't know if that was accurate or not. I mean, we did see a discard aggro deck. Otherwise, not a whole lot.
I mean, I think it's pretty good versus Endure Spiders, really snuffing out those Bladed Caretaker turns.
And we did see a lot of Endure. We saw a lot of Endure at PCS, so I think that was a good call. And definitely, we've seen Endure today, but definitely significantly less amount than we saw at PCS.
Oh, for sure.
All right, looks like the Abyssal Eye going to come down here, but Freshlobster being at 8 health right now, again... Okay, he's 9 off from going deep. He needs to trigger Maokai here, which will help. He does have another Jaw Hunters as well to threaten killing this Slippery Wave Rider. So this could be another way that he's able to remove this threat from the field. There's no way for Gavone to actually deal with the Jaw Hunters, or really even the Abyssal Eye if the Jaw Hunters removes this Slippery Wave Rider.
Oh, these are bad tosses for Lobster, but I think Gavone goes for the pop off here. Yeah, goes for this. Does Lobster Vile Feast this? Like, do you think that your opponent has been holding back for a big steal turn?
Yeah, that Grasp at 4 mana is a really good card. That was a really good pull. It's also going to be able to deal with this Abyssal Eye at 3 health, so he's probably. It looks like he's thinking about grasping now, but I don't see why you do. I think you just go ahead, play the other Black Market Merchant.
You would grasp now because next turn Lobster gets to open develop to toss a little bit more with the Maokai. This could be sort of your last opportunity to kill the Abyssal Eye. And I think with the Vile Feast coming out from Lobster, I do actually like the grasp since you're probably going to Warning Shot for the Pilfered Goods next turn anyway.
Yep. Yeah, and one thing to note too about these Pilfered Goods and the Black Market Merchant, right? Like, if you are taking cards from your opponent's deck,
they are going deeper faster.
They're going deep faster. So it actually does kind of play into Freshlobster's strategy there. So probably one of the reasons why he's being a little conservative with these Black Market Merchants and Pilfered Goods. I mean, if you do wait until you know your opponent's going to go deep anyways, it doesn't really matter. If anything, you probably want to do it after they go deep to potentially have them mill themselves. I mean, it's probably really rare that it'll actually happen, but you never know.
I'm wondering if, do you ever try to save this grasp to kill the Maokai in some way? No, we are just going to fire it off onto the Abyssal Eye.
Well, that's the other problem on the side of Gavone, right? Like, this Maokai, I feel like we always do this when we cast deep games. Oh, Maokai, that's a win condition. If Maokai levels, we're on a clock. And that's definitely a possibility in this game right now.
I'm not sure that the Maokai win condition pops off before Gavone just gets to kill Lobster, who is down to 9, who doesn't have any healing left in their hand.
Yeah, especially if Gavone is able to draw something like a Riptide, that will definitely send things over the edge here. We'll see if, on this turn anyways, like I mentioned, this Jaw Hunters will very nicely get rid of this Slippery Wave Rider if he does decide to go for it. Could go for Nautilus, but I don't think if he plays the Nautilus, does he go deep?
Is it, am I going deep, or is it I predicted my opponent has a large yoink turn, and if they yoink, my Nautilus goes deep?
If he's making that read, that's kind of nuts. I mean,
Lobster is the kind of player to make a read like that. I don't know if he's the kind of player to act on a read like that.
Well, do you even really get that big of an advantage instead of playing the Jaw Hunters, right? Like, if you just get this Nautilus down and up to a 13-13 because your opponent yoinks your cards, is that better than playing the Jaw Hunters?
You do get a free, not Jaw Hunters, but the Beast Below down as well as a 7/7 if that is the case. And I believe after this Maokai toss, it looks like a Lobster was at 20 cards in deck, so he is now at 18. So if Gavone does go for his development of the Black March at Pilfered Goods, he'll be deep. We do get a 7/7 down, and all of a sudden the tables have turned.
Yeah, and all right, so the Pilfered Good and Black Market Merchant, they've been in Gavone's hand for a while. So, I mean, you might be right. I think he might be making that read thinking, all right, what are those cards all the way to the left there? And Gavone not going to fall for it, decided to
Okay, he's going for the barrel lethal. He says, you have to answer this Slippery Wave Rider or I'm killing you with Warning Shots next turn.
Yep.
Because this Petty Officer makes a barrel. Petty Officer number 2 also makes a barrel. Gangplank, gonna make a barrel. That is 5 damage of warning shots over the course of the next couple of turns.
Yep, and gonna go ahead, pull it with the Spiderling here. And doesn't look like he's gonna attack with the Nautilus, which makes sense. I mean, he has no way himself to activate deep, so...
Yeah, on 2 mana, next turn he'll be able to go deep with either the Salvage or the Maokai's Sap Magic. Is that the name of the card?
Yeah. That's the one. Oh, wait. Are you talking about the one that doesn't heal Nexus? Yeah. You nailed it. Yeah. You're good.
But yeah, I mean, Lobster is actually just kind of at the mercy of his top decks at this point.
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's kind of been like this all game, though. I mean, we knew from that first hand and then that first toss of, oh, hey, say bye-bye to 2 Jettison. I mean, we knew it was going to be rough for him to go deep. We're on turn 7. So the deep deck is still kind of doing its thing, but... he just hasn't really been able to get established like he wants to in this game yet.
Oh no. Okay, so he's stealing 1 card.
Okay.
So not gonna put him deep. Actually,
salvage is really good. Yep. Oh. Okay.
I was afraid he was gonna send him deep this turn, but it does mean that things get a little bit more awkward in terms of going for the warning shot lethal. But it looks like that warning shot leveled the Gangplank. So instead of going for a non-development turn, going for an open attack, not letting my opponent get down this Abyssal Eye to block my Wave Rider, we're actually going to go for a Gangplank development into the attack, which I don't think works out super well for Gavone here.
No, I don't think it does either. That Dreg Dredger seems like it's like 8 turns too late. That really wish we had that a little while ago, but that will 100% send Freshlobster deep this turn for sure. I think he actually had it no matter what.
I think you have to salvage, though, so that you can develop the Abyssal Eye, because if you play this Dreg Dredgers first, then you go deep, but your opponent gets to then hit you with the Wave Rider. You have to develop this Abyssal Eye as your first card of the turn if Gavone doesn't go for an open attack.
And I feel like if you're Gavone, you're... all right, Freshlobster's at 7. He still has... I know he's scrolling through, like, toss cards right now. I think he has 1 warning shot. Yeah. So, and a Gangplank. I feel like you have to go for the open attack, no?
Because he went for the Merchant last turn, it really made me think he's going for the Gangplank this turn. And
like that's
as long as your Gangplank gets to attack, you do get off that 1 damage, which will replace the damage that you sort of... Yep. You didn't miss any damage this way. Oh, actually, the Gangplank's not leveled. Nope. Never mind, throw it all out the window.
I think it needs 1 more for it to be leveled. And gonna go with the Sap Magic to go deep, actually.
Yeah, just a cheaper way to activate the deep, give us an option to play more cards. But, I mean, so we get the Abyssal Eye down. Not having the level Gangplank is a little confusing to me. I believe that maybe he needed the Wave Rider to level the Gangplank, but this is so awkward. You do still have the warning shot. No, you don't have the warning shot lethal available because now we're going to get Abyssal Eye down.
I think this is just game for Freshlobster now. Like, I think Freshlobster's going to be able to stabilize, just take this away.
Well, so... I could have been tracking incorrectly here, but I've only seen Lobster toss 1 atrocity, and he does play 2.
I agree. No, I've only seen 1 atrocity, but I mean that just furthers him potentially winning the game. Like I don't like.
Well, there's a pilfered goods in chat's hand.
Oh man, where there's a pilfered goods, there's a way. And gonna see the Thermo Beam actually dealing 5.
That's actually gonna be 6 because of the barrel.
Oh, yep. Okay. Ooh, yeah. So that's still going to be that Slippery Wave Rider pushing through here. Didn't even actually see the Thermo Beam in Gavone's hand. So, yeah, now this is going to be an issue for Freshlobster. He has no way of blocking the Slippery Wave Rider.
He has to salvage into the last Vile Feast to kill the barrel. And that's... I don't even know if a Vile Feast was tossed. We've seen Lobster play 1. We've seen Gavone play 1. So if that 1 Vile Feast was tossed, then it's not actually available. And there's nothing that Lobster can top deck off this salvage to save the Abyssal Eye. But this barrel getting used up by the Gangplank actually still doesn't mean that Gavone has the warning shot lethal off the table, because that should level the Gangplank when the damage comes through at Lobster this turn, which means he'll make another barrel at the start of the next turn. And then at Gavone's first priority sequence, we could see Petty Officer come down, make another barrel, and warning shot for lethal.
Yeah, and not going to go ahead for the salvage into the Vile Feast. And again, I mean, I also am not positive if he was able to toss any of the Vile Feast, or if he did toss any Vile Feast. So I think if there was a Vile Feast left in the deck, I think it would have been a decent play, especially if you're just going to play it now.
Yeah, I think he was really debating this Jaw Hunters and then realizing that it's not going to work out for him.
Oh my god.
Tossing both Devours. I think that's what you really wanted to draw, but gets the Abyssal
Oh,
Eye.
and Ruination.
So will once again have a blocker.
Wow, okay, that is a huge pickup, having that Abyssal Eye there. And again, now back in a commanding position, Freshlobster, being able to block this Slippery Wave Rider, which, I gotta say it, Slippery Wave Rider posing a pretty big problem in this matchup. And I think, I don't know, is that just Slippery Wave Rider being good, or is that just a tribute to Elusive being good?
I think it's a tribute to Elusive being good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I gotta agree. I don't think the attune or anything makes Slippery Wave Rider really that incredible, but especially with these Abyssal Eyes, I mean, you were even mentioning earlier, Abyssal Eye can be like a alternate win condition for these deep decks. And again, purely because of that elusive keyword is just so freaking strong. And we can see here it definitely making the difference in this game with needing a blocker and Gavone being able to put on the pressure with his elusive unit.
So things get a little awkward here. I believe that at the end of the turn, this Maokai will be 23 out of 25, which means if Lobster plays a unit, it will level. Which means that in order for Gavone to get... Oh, he's actually just going to do it right now.
Yep.
So yeah, Gavone never going to have a chance to play this Salvage.
Wow. Yep. And that's going to feel real bad.
And there goes the last atrocity in the deck, so that steal is off the table as well. Yeah, I don't think Gavone's going to be able to pick this one up, actually. And I feel like he had the chance to.
Oh, yeah.
It could have been like a perfect information thing. This is one of those situations where it's really hard to tell, you know, was this just we had caster vision, we get to see everything available. Gavone went for the plays, and obviously Lobster got a little bit bailed out by that Abyssal Eye top deck, tossing the Devourer of the Depths as well. But I mean, Devourer would have done the same thing, right? He had 2 mana left available. You can Devour onto the Slippery Wave Rider rather than just finding an elusive to block it. But I think that now Lobster has this one unless Chad can somehow pull off a miracle Riptide Rex.
So, I don't know if Kuma does Duels of Runeterra Twitter, but we got tagged and they're telling chat to challenge us on how well we can keep this secret. I think we've done a pretty good job. I mean, you kind of blew the whole dragon part, but there's still another part to the secret. I think we've done decent so far.
Yeah.
We'll keep it up. We'll keep it up. Maybe, I don't know, the semis might be kind of hard. I mean, the temptation to just go ahead and just announce this is killing me at this point. Oh, so excited for it. Dude, I'm hyped. I am absolutely incredibly hyped to get this information out there and excited for the next couple of weeks or so.
No, Hyped actually got knocked out in top 16,
Oh,
so
he?
we're all monotone from here on out.
Man, okay, that just answers my other question. I was going to ask that next. That's kind of disappointing because I wanted Hype to do well in this tournament.
I know.
God damn.
I know.
I think his day's going to come, man. His day's going to come. He's going to win that
His
one
day has to
tournament
come.
that matters. He's going to...
Oh.
Wait, hold on.
So we actually have all of our top 8 finally locked in.
Oh, okay.
So obviously we're casting Chad Shred versus Lobster. Pretty sure this is over for Lobster, so forgive my sort of sidebar here. Nola Gold versus Trivo, Zinc versus Black Boss, Type V versus ETS Gamer.
Nice. Okay, Black Boss making it into the top 8 there. As always, doing pretty well in these tournaments. Black Boss 8, an amazing Brazilian player who we regularly see make top cut. As is Freshlobster. And actually, I mean, Gavone we've been seeing a lot more often too. So
yeah, he came in last week. He's putting up numbers again this week, and I have to wonder at what point, like, how many tournaments in a row do you have to top before you sort of enter the discussion of like top 50, top 20?
Probably one more.
I would say one more, and like, you know, it's somebody that we're seeing consistently. 3 in a row is a hard feat to do.
Yeah, definitely. Three in a row.
Especially if he can make it to top 4 again, especially taking out an opponent like Lobster. You know, we saw him take out Nola Gold last week. He's taking out top players. He's not like cruising on in here.
Oh, actually, they must have. I think they revealed another card at 5. I'm kind of excited
They
to
did.
go. Okay, did you see it? What is it?
Yeah, it's a 2-mana 2/2 Celestial that says enter, draw a card.
Enter?
Yeah, like enter, you know, play, summon, whatever.
Oh, did you? What is enter from Force of Will?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I was all right.
Just like enter the battlefield.
Using your freaking Force of Will language. How dare you?
I'm pretty sure Hearthstone. I mean, Hearthstone says battle cry, but if I say enter, everybody knows I mean enter the battlefield.
I mean, yeah, enter is a very
TD.
straightforward word.
Yeah.
And
Force of Will just actually used like keyword enter.
wait, you mean they used English words that made sense with what was going on?
Half the time.
Because I thought play was just the unit is playing around on the field. Like, I didn't know actually what that meant. We see this Devourer, though, in Freshlobster's hand after having tossed 2 others previously. Still able to pick 1 up here. See if he's going to be able to make use of that. But passing it back over to Gavone. I feel like this game is taking much longer than it should at this point, and I don't know why.
It's because Gavone is desperately trying to figure out if there's anything he can do to win this game, and just kind of like assessing all of his options, trying to figure out what's left in his deck. Because I think someone in chat said yesterday that this isn't how it works, but I'm 99% sure if you hover the Maokai level up, it tells you everything that was tossed away, and actually can't pilfer anything because the only cards left in Lobster's deck are champions. And I think at that point, Gavone scoops this one up, especially now that the Devour comes down onto the Gangplank.
Yeah. Gangplank going bye-bye is not good for Gavone. Gonna see that baby get devoured, and not a whole lot of cards left in Gavone's deck. We'll see if we see the surrender button to save some IRL time, as Boulevard puts it.
So, Thermo Beam onto the Abyssal Eye does open up potential lethal. Finds Wave Rider instead. Zap Sprayfin. I mean, he has the ability to push a fair amount of elusive damage. Could actually have 6 attackers, but Lobster critically picks up the Riptide instead of a Maokai. If Lobster picked up Maokai, I think Gavone actually could win the game here. I think Lobster would probably ruin Nation when we saw the second elusive come down.
Yeah.
But, you know, it does pick up the Riptide. Not even going to have to make that sort of consideration.
I feel like deep decks, if you make it to this late in the game as a deep deck, you always have Riptide. Like, it just always ends up in your hand because of how, you know, little cards left in your deck. You're going to have a Nautilus that's just on the field for the entire game at this point. And Riptide at this point in the game, too, when you do have it in your hand, it's basically, it might as well be a deny. It's just a deny that does a lot more. It's pretty insane what this card can do. And it's probably going to be sending something back to the, well, on the flip side with Riptide, the downside to it is you do actually, you know, kind of delay the whole deck out thing going on here. But
yeah,
that's a very small consolation to have to pay in order to get that sort of effect.
But he does get this Abyssal Eye off of the Jaw Hunter, so we'll have a second elusive blocker. I don't think there's anything Gavone can top deck that's going to deal 3 damage, and the fact that he got stuck with a Pilfered Goods as one of his last cards, really, really unfortunate. Stealing the salvage, also unfortunate. Didn't really have an opportunity to play it because it did come to him the same turn as a Thermo Beam came out to take out an elusive unit. So, you know, had the opportunity to get the lethal, but didn't quite find it. Didn't just respecting Lobster's hand a little bit too much, going for a different variable of plays, and the nab that he did go for doesn't work out for him. Lobster able to flood the board with Abyssal Eyes and other large sea monster units thanks to that Nautilus, and he will be tying up the series 1-1 as soon as Gavone can come to terms with the fact that he is in limbo.
And I gotta say, for all of the bad luck that we've seen Freshlobster have in the past with cards like War Mother's Call, cards like Shrooms, I gotta say, he seems to have had a lot of good luck with these elusive unit pickups here in this game, drawing them exactly when he needs to block some of the incoming damage here, only taking 2 from the Zap Sprayfin when it could have been much worse. And by much worse, I mean lethal for his opponent.
Yeah, that's about as bad as it gets.
Yep, and that...
And
yep.
Last card, Citrus Courier.
Feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. Not going to do anything against this field. Limbo indeed, man. Limbo indeed. So were you saying something about Freshlobster's games taking a while or something? Was that something you mentioned earlier? I don't...
All I'm saying is I'm pretty sure these guys started at 5. It's been 45 minutes.
What? I'm not... are you keeping track? I'm not keeping track. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, I think that there's still other top 8 matches that like started way after them, so they've got the head start that they might need.
I think, yeah. This will put everybody in line. See, that's really... See, Lobster's just looking out for everybody, man. Lobster is just
I don't know,
out.
man. Zinc and Black Boss were the last ones to start, and they're already also in game 2.
Never mind. I take it back.
It's been 20 minutes.
Oh, man. And this is just going to be lethal right here, I believe.
Yeah.
So, actually not winning with the Maokai win condition. Oh, wait, does he? Oh, it's literally exact lethal, barely. Oh, he's going to... is he going to play the salvage and deck himself out? He says, no, you will not defeat me. I will defeat myself instead. And go ahead and tie up the series 1-1. Freshlobster does here in game 2 of the top 8. Going into game 3 now.
What are you talking about? Gavone killed a player. Give him the win. You don't have to beat your opponent. You just have to kill a player.
So, we got some people in chat thinking that the secret here that we got might be a card reveal. What do you say to that, Boulevard?
All I'm saying is that I talked about us turning into dragons. You know, maybe that's a hint at some kind of dragon from Targon that we may or may not have been given the privilege to reveal to all of you sometime around the grand finals.
Wait, you're saying Ysera is going to be in the game now?
I'm saying, you know, if you can think of a Targonian dragon, that wouldn't be super out of line with some of the nonsense that I've been saying. Wouldn't you say?
Well, I mean, no, I tend to agree. You know, but my response though is, guys, you know, listen, Boulevard, he says a lot of stuff. You know, he says a lot of stuff a lot of times, guys, and I'm gonna go 99% positive Boulevard is just like completely wrong here. But, I mean, this is a card game. RNG is a thing. I mean, there's a 1% chance that Boulevard is correct. So I'm just gonna throw that out there.
You'd be saying a lot of nonsense.
So we do have that 1% chance here that this is indeed what's happening. So, but you guys are gonna have to wait to find out. We got a couple more rounds to go before we can go ahead and get this out to you bad boys and girls in chat. So game 3 here. In the meantime, game 3 here. Freshlobster versus Gavone, tied 1-1. Over under 15-minute game.
This one should actually end a lot quicker. It's understandable for the deep matchup to take a while. That is a deck that you have to take into the late game, especially if you do have to play towards the Maokai win condition, which Lobster did there. So it's understandable.
No, well, Caster keeping us honest. Caster Gems in chat. He's making sure we're keeping the secret too. So just let us know. Send me a DM or something, Gems, if we screw up here.
Scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, how well are we doing?
10 being we told everybody. 1 being no one knew there was a secret. These Kempunk pickpockets, man, they're not doing it.
No, they're not doing it for me either. It's pretty bad, to be honest with you. I feel like every time we've seen Gavone play this, well, I mean, all right, granted, I feel like it's so hard to sit here and actually like criticize people for the cards they put in their deck when they're in the freaking top cut. Like I
don't have any problem, you know.
I just feel like it's like, oh, we're in the finals, but like I don't think he made any of the right decisions for this deck build. Like,
all right, to be fair, I said that about him last time, and then he agreed with me. So I was like, "How did you not run Riptide Rex?" And he said, "I'm just dumb."
Oh my god.
So actually, this is the second or third time that we've seen Gavone sort of go for an early make it rain down onto like a random 1 health unit that somebody played early on, and is actually going to have a black market merchant to back it up this time around. Finds the Omen Hawk, and that can be pretty impactful in a matchup like this, as well as getting it beautifully down on curve here. But now the elusive options open up for Gazone. We have this Zap Sprayfin into this. I was going to try to start saying Zap Sprayfin, and then Gazone kind of sounded like Calzone. And
oh god, I'm
really
hungry
threw
now.
Off my feng shui.
Why'd you have to say Calzone, man? Now I'm hungry.
I basically did.
Oh, not cool, man.
But I think this is a matchup where the elusives could get a lot done. We do see the 1 Reckoning in Lobster's hand. I believe that's the only one in the list. Most players are down to 1 copy of that card. Oh no, he's still playing 2 Reckoning, actually.
All right, interesting. So, I mean, that might work out for him in this matchup. I mean, this is definitely the matchup to get a pretty solid Reckoning off, and already having it early on here, definitely going to do him some good if he is able to get it off.
Yeah, that's one of the sort of blowout cards for this elusive package that Gavone has brought. And I don't, like, there's no fast speed removal in Gavone's deck. He can't string together anything to kill the Ash in response to this Reckoning, unless he steals Brittle Steel and Culling Strike away from Lobster. Actually, even just the Brittle Steel would do it. You just need to take the 5 attack out of the picture. You don't need to necessarily kill the unit, but I'm pretty sure Gavone gonna be going for the Wave Rider this turn. You know, could throw down double Pilfered Goods next turn and find that Brittle Steel. It's not totally out of the question, actually.
No, not at all. But we do see it looks like the Gangplank going to go ahead and hit the field here. Going to be a 6/6, which definitely helps keep Gangplank around for a little bit, but it is going to get Frostbitten at least for this turn. And unfortunately, going to get this Keg pulled as well and basically just neutralize it entirely, because the only spells that Gavone has in his hand are slow that can actually utilize this Powder Keg.
Yeah, it seems a little bit weird to me to have the Gangplank come down pre-combat.
Yeah.
I think that even if you just pass back over here, it does favor you a little bit, because if you're going to go for the Gangplank, then you do still have that Thermo Beam available. The Reckoning is a little bit less enticing on the side of Lobster anyway, because you now have a 6 attack unit down.
Parlay. All right, so he is going to go ahead and utilize that parlay to take out the Ice Veil Archer here. Ice Veil Archer, 2 mana, 3/1. Do you feel as though Ice Veil Archer is overpowered?
Not really. I know a lot of people complain about him because he's a unit that Frostbite's on summon. I thought if we were in a situation where the deck seemed really overpowered, you could change him into a 3/2 and only give him the range of a Brittle Steel. You know, Frostbite's something that costs 3 or that has 3 or less power. But honestly, I really like the card. I like the idea of the Frostbite deck actually having some kind of punish for you not going for an open attack.
Well, yeah, and I think that inherently is what makes mid-range Frostbite good too, with that Culling Strike combo as an example. So, yeah, no, it's just interesting when you think about card balance and stuff like that. A 3/1 with the freeze effect. Freeze, I feel like, is very undervalued. I think people undervalue freeze, but obviously mid-range Frostbite, it is absolutely insanely good. So good to see. Just mid-range, we were talking about this before, mid-range always popping up in tournaments left and right after multiple metagames, multiple deck iterations. Not necessarily a bad thing. I don't mind mid-range Frostbite being around.
Me neither. And Lobster is in a rough spot. You know, he wants to fire off this Reckoning, but then he just eats the Gangplank damage. And even if he doesn't, he loses the Ash and eats 4 damage on top of that.
Ooh.
We are going to see the Yeti fired off. This is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
So Chad probably going to Thermo Beam this Ash. You know, you do have 2 mana left. If your opponent goes for an Elixir of Iron to save it, they're off of Reckoning for the turn, and you do at least get through the 6 elusive damage.
Mm-hmm.
I actually think I prefer attacking with the elusives first, you know, get through that guaranteed 6 damage. Don't think Lobster's going to go for a Harsh Winds. And I think Lobster could be trying to set up for like a greedy Reckoning on the following turn, like get the Flash Freeze and the Reckoning down onto the Gangplank. But I think we definitely see Reckoning after this Thermo Beam resolves, and then, you know, Chad gonna lose most of his board. Lobster's gonna be left with his Yeti. The Yeti probably gonna block the Gangplank, but at least that is a more appealing blocker than the Ash was. It does save an additional 3 HP.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see if he greeds the Reckoning for the following turn. The thing is, if he waits for the Reckoning to, like you said, possibly Flash Freeze the Gangplank or even just bait another summon like this Petty Officer out, he's not going to be able to play a Sejuani next turn. He is going into an attack turn. He will have the attack token on turn 7. So I definitely agree with you. I think this Reckoning is going to go off, get the value while he can. His opponent can't do anything to respond. Also saves 6 health, which I really think is where the value is coming out of this Reckoning right now. Just being able to stay nice and healthy in a deck that, you know, can't heal otherwise. Any damage that you do to it is going to go and stick. And yeah, like next turn, go ahead, play that Sejuani, have a pretty good offensive turn as well.
I think the concern that Lobster has is, so you throw out the Reckoning here, you block the Gangplank with your Yeti, you Sejuani the Gangplank next turn, you finish it off. Your opponent has 4 cards, you have 4 cards, but 3 of your 4 cards are all Frostbite effects, and you're pillared in on a Sejuani. And that doesn't feel good. Suddenly, even if you draw an Assessor, it's not getting enough value for you to claw your way back into the game, and you still have to be wary of things like Riptide Rex coming out of your opponent and just completely taking your board off the table.
Yeah, I don't think, after you play this Reckoning, I don't think you ever block this Gangplank with the Yeti, right? I think you just let this 6 damage happen.
I mean, you can't kill it with Sejuani unless you block it here.
Well, oh, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Oh, that feels so bad, though.
Yeah, that's why I was saying, like, maybe Lobster doesn't go for the Reckoning. Maybe he just kind of, like, tries to stall out here and then clean up the Gangplank with the Reckoning next turn alongside the Flash Freeze.
Yeah, because you could always, well, I guess.
Oh, Bjerg's a great top deck.
Bjerg is good.
Oh, but we drew Thermo Beam to protect the Gangplank.
Wow. This is going to feel really bad on the side of Freshlobster.
Yeah.
His reaction, too, you can see it. Such a good top deck.
The Bjerg's a good top deck, though.
Mm-hmm.
And if Lobster really wants to, can actually prevent the Pilfer trigger from the next turn with this Brittle Steel, which I don't know if he knows it, but that would get a lot done. Oh, no, don't play the Petty Officer.
Okay, Captain Farron, not exactly a bad pickup either if he can manage to get a couple more damage to stick to Gavone. Going to be interesting to see when he can actually get this down, though, because obviously behind in tempo a little bit here. Might not be able to. Might have to go with the Babbling Bjerg so he can still play these freeze effects.
I actually think I really like this Captain Farron here. You can line up a block onto the Petty Officer. You can Brittle Steel the Gangplank, take 1 damage from your opponent. But then you do get to attack with Farron next turn. Your opponent has no good blockers for that. And then you get to try to finish them off with Decimates before a Riptide Rex comes down. And I don't think that's... I think that's a race that you win.
Yeah, actually, so something of note, too. You know, you can prevent, like you said, the damage from Gangplank, but Gangplank only at 1 health, so if he does try to assign Gangplank as a blocker to Captain Farron, that's way too much damage. Yeah, so I got to agree. Although you're not getting rid of the Gangplank, Captain Farron might be the play here. And at that point, like, Captain Farron is basically just like, it's a clock. It's just like something like Maokai. It's a finisher. Once it hits the field, you're going to have those decimates. Your opponent's going to start sweating a little bit. Got to prevent some damage. And, yeah, I think we might see just that. Does he ever... No, you don't ever block Gangplank, right? That's not what you do. No.
I mean, you're taking damage regardless. Because you can't do anything about this Prowling Cutthroat.
Oh, wait, does Gangplank level on this attack?
Probably.
So, okay, I guess you consider this if it's going to level because you want to prevent the Powder Keg generation.
Actually, I mean, even then, so if the Powder Keg comes out, you can just challenge the Powder Keg with Farron next turn to push 8 damage.
Yeah, actually, that feels bad. Is there anything... Well, okay, actually, though, if you do this... Oh, no, he's going to Frostbite anyways. I was going to say the Captain Farron goes down to 1, but no, I think, yeah, okay. I like this. You're only taking 5 damage. You're not really worried about going down to 10. I think you're A-okay. And even though the Gangplank will level, yeah, you're going to have this open attack with the Captain Farron alongside, you know, just three Decimate, just chilling in hand. You know, no big deal. You can't play both of them next turn, but you can definitely play at least one, and we'll definitely get, from the looks of Gavone's hand, just a wee bit of damage through with this Captain Farron on the open attack.
I don't think there's anything Gavone can really pilfer here that's going to make a difference. Most of the Frostbite effects in Lobster's deck are already in his hand. And Iceveil Archer doesn't do anything against the open attack. There's no way Lobster does anything but open attack, I think. You see Warning Shot, but we don't have the Rex as the backup.
Yeah, if he takes this open attack, yep.
I think we see Warning Shot into Pilfered Goods to see if there is anything we can find. Is there Fury of the North in Lobster's list? There is one Fury of the North, which would actually kill the Farron and, you know, only let you take 1 damage.
Which puts you outside of the 12 of these Decimate and off of that clock. Does still very crucially, though, with that block, you know, Gavone's at 9, does still need to do all 3 Decimates, which is definitely a big difference than just having to use 2 of them. So we'll see if that comes in big here over the next couple of turns.
I mean, Chad is going to get a big Assessor here. And I say big because this is not a deck that should be really getting any Assessor draws.
Yeah.
But does manage to steal 2 5-attack units alongside it. So, but, I mean, what can he even really draw into at this point? Citrus Courier is cool, but it doesn't put you outside of the range, and Lobster has very good defensive tools and all these Frostbite effects, and that really prevents rallies. I think you need a big Riptide Rex, and even then, I'm not sure that's enough. I mean, Gangplank could be cool as well.
Yeah, and it's one of the best things about something like Harsh Winds, which is why I'm always curious why people decide to play, you know, sometimes only 1 copy or even sometimes 0. Harsh Winds, a lot of times, yeah, it can be used as a combat trick, an offensive tool, but towards the end of the game, especially with something like Farron, if you're in a position where you're really closely racing your opponent, it just gives you that 1 turn. It literally is just a 6-mana burst spell that says you get 1 more turn, and it does so good in this you know, specific instance because you have these Decimates that you can play on that turn for the game.
Oh, so Gavone has exactly enough mana for Pilfered Goods Riptide Rex. But I'm trying to math this out. I mean, you never get through the Harsh Winds and the Flash Freeze. And as long... I mean, Lobster can just make it so that that he completely takes no damage this turn. And then can just fire off Double Decimate next turn.
Yeah.
And if Lobster's still at 10, there's nothing that Gavone is going to be able to do to prevent himself from dying or kill Lobster in response.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you just feel pretty safe firing off the Harsh Winds here. You can even go ahead and possibly throw the Ash down afterwards if you really want to. I mean, you're not going to have... If you do play the Harsh Winds, you won't have enough mana to play 1 Decimate this turn, so you're just going to have to go both next turn, like you mentioned. But, yeah, I think Freshlobster has this one in the bag here.
So, there is an No, there's no opportunity for Gavone because he can deal like 8 to Lobster this turn with the Rex if he clears the board. But, I mean, Lobster can just respond with the 2 Decimates next turn. And I think he can only deal 8, so he's not actually going to have a way Okay, so there is a universe where Gavone wins this. It's pretty convoluted, so I'm not going to go into it.
Oh, no. This is our job, Boulevard. What is this
Okay.
convoluted play you speak of?
So Lobster blocks with this, frostbites the whole board. Doesn't get to play any decimates this turn.
Yeah.
Chad goes, okay, you're tapped out, your board's gone. Let me warning shot Rex you. You go down to 2. Lobster goes decimate. I go gangplank. Lobster goes second decimate. I go the warning shot that I top decked.
Okay, that's not convoluted. That's literally a top deck. That's not convoluted.
I thought it would. I was trying to think that he would have to draw a barrel generator or something and like somehow also find this, but he does already have the gangplank. So yeah, a top deck warning shot I think gives this to go. Well, the other thing is I wasn't sure if Lobster was going to go for the full frostbite.
And I think, is this warning shot visible to Lobster?
No, I don't think he played a steel card to get that one.
Hold on. Nope. Just move the hand real quick. No, it is not.
Did we
visible.
just go zap Sprafe and it's okay? Never mind. We have nothing. We can't win.
Yeah. Wow.
I'm surprised he didn't
Play the Riptide. I think you're.
Well, okay. So you play the gangplank.
And then Riptide next
This
turn.
is still one off lethal.
Well, what are you saying? Play the open with the Riptide next turn?
Yeah, I mean, so if you open warning shot, oh no, this is actually lethal because the gangplank generates the second barrel at the start of turn. This will be a 3 damage warning shot. Lobster can no longer open with decimate.
Oh.
I forgot about the double barrel from the gangplank. There we go. We didn't need a second warning shot. We just needed a second barrel.
Oh, he can't do it. He can't. He actually can't. Wow. Oh, he's
Lobster looked at this and he's like, "Oh, if there's a dinosaur in my opponent's hand, I just lose."
He
know
knows.
What lobsters do? Do you know where they stand on the food chain in comparison to sharks? The answer is extremely low, and Lobster is staring death in the face, understanding that he is not at the top of the food chain in this ocean.
And I don't think there's actually any way Fresh Lobster plays around this. It's just game.
Because if you play anything other than double decimate, you don't win the game this turn, and you die on an open attack. Yeah, Lobster gonna have to go for it.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever... This is just half your life total.
This
Riptide Rex just comes down and deals half your life total.
This is a very good, solid play and a solid read on the side of the chat. And I think Lobster knows it. Lobster knows that we are going to see a Riptide Rex just jam down. Wow. Wow. That is one hell of a way to end the game, man. Gavone taking it away. Game 3 versus the Lobster. The one and only Fresh Lobster. Gonna take him to game 4. That was a hell of a game, man. That was really close.
Ooh, for the rest of the series, he is cooked Lobster.
Yeah, he is cooked.
He was
even
served
if he
up
wins,
on a platter. He is, even if he wins. If he wins, he's fresh again.
Okay. Gavone going up 2-1 there. Gonna go ahead and take it to game 4. What a game, man. That was awesome.
Ooh, so that does mean that we still have to pick up a win with the... Oh, man. Gavone's last deck is mid-range Frostbite. Which means you have to beat Lobster in a mirror and then... Or beat Lobster in a Karma Ezreal matchup, which is typically Karma Ezreal favored. There's not really any differences between the decks. So Gavone doesn't run Captain Farron. It's one of those things where like Lobster submitted the decks on Decks of Runeterra and Gavone submitted them on Mobalytics, so like going between the deck lists, they don't line up very well for me to like see the differences.
Oh, sorry, I just got distracted there for a second.
No problem.
Yeah, and I have both screens up right now, so I actually can't pull up their deck list. I don't want to break anything. I want you guys to have both hands available throughout the entire game. So, yeah, wow. I gotta say that awesome read by Gavone for sure there, and even on the side of Lobster, like at the end you could tell that Lobster knew that was exactly what Gavone had played for, because he just like grabbed his head. He's thinking to himself, "Oh man, 2 kegs is not good. That's going to be 10 damage with Riptide and Warning Shot," and he knew exactly what he was walking into.
Oh man. The old guard is falling out, man.
Yeah.
Gavone in his second top cut of Duels of Runeterra in a row. I think this is like his 3rd or 4th tournament. Just like appearance.
Wait, what? Fresh Lobster? Like as of late?
No, Gavone.
Oh,
No, like,
Gavone.
I think
Yeah.
this is like Gavone's like 4th ever tournament.
Yeah, and so far making a huge impact in these tournaments, just doing super well. And I mean, you said how many more wins or top cuts does it take for us to kind of remember Gavone and recognize him moving forward? I don't know, man. You have a couple more games like that. It might just be this tournament. If he wins this tournament, it just might be enough to remember him, man.
So main differences between this mirror: Lobster is running Flash Freeze, Fury of the North, and Captain Pharaon. Gavone is not, has instead opted for a little bit of higher numbers on things like Avarice and Sentry, Babbling Bjerg, and Elixir of Iron. So Lobster's got the tricks available. He has that Flash Freeze, that Fury, that Captain Pharaon. Those are all cards that are pretty good in this matchup. Pharaon, maybe not so much.
And we're going to see the Glory Seeker start out here for Fresh Lobster. He's got a little bit of a battle ahead of him if he's going to come back in this match versus Gavone here in the top 8. Gavone starting with an Avarosian Sentry in this mirror match. The Trapper coming down next, followed by the Mirrored Trapper from Fresh Lobster in true mirror spirit. Probably even going to get the block. Might as well. And
so I was thinking to myself, have we seen Gavone in a Frostbite mid-range mirror before? And then I remembered we did last week when he beat Nola Gold. He like drew 5 ashes over the course of a game to just constantly Flash Freeze out the board of Nola Gold, and then like eventually top decked Harsh Winds again to like get through an Ash OTK. I don't think he's going to be able to repeat that one here. Does only have 1 Ash in hand, but it is starting with a pretty decent opener. Neither player really disadvantaged here. Gavone is going to have a nicer curve with this Ash. Lobster's kind of offline until turn 5, but at least has the defensive Ice Veil Archer.
Well, and I think we were talking about this earlier too. I do tend to think that having the Avarosian Hearthguard on turn 5 kind of gives that person in the mirror match a little bit of an advantage, obviously heading towards the late game, because inevitably these mirror matches end up being large boards usually versus each other, unless you're getting a lot of trades early on, which, you know, very well might be the case with what we're seeing here with these, you know, trading of Frostbites and Trappers and whatnot. And if it goes to the late game and you obviously already have a couple Hearthguards down, your units are just all going to be a little bit stronger than your opponents. So we'll see if these 2 Hearthguards early will help Fresh Lobster seal the deal here.
And Lobster picks up the Ash off the top, so will have a very good trade available to him with this Trifarian Glory Seeker. And yeah, as you mentioned, Hearthguard feels insane in the mirror. And when you have 2 and your opponent doesn't have any, all of a sudden, like, just getting down 2 Hearthguard feels insane, regardless of whether or not your opponent gets them down as well. Getting your Trappers up to 5/5s, getting your Ice Veil Archers up to 5/3s, turning everything in the deck other than Omen Hawk and Avaros and Sentry into
Assessor
activators
targets.
for the Trifarian Assessor. Yeah, it's going to look really, really good once Lobster can find a copy of that. But it doesn't necessarily mean Gavone's out of the game. He does have the option to find Assessor while Lobster never does. That's actually not that big of an ask, because whoever finds Assessor first is more likely to find more Assessors.
Yep. Yeah, it's just a snowball effect at that point. And I do expect to see the Ash come down. Yep, Fresh Lobster's going to go ahead and start getting this Ash going here. So actually getting it down before Gavone, Gavone opting to go the Trapper and the Omen Hawk route, instead going to hold on to the Ash and the Sejuani. Notably, too, Gavone already has a Reckoning in hand, which is basically a dead card in this matchup for most of the game. So
yeah, you might be able to get like 1 kill with it later on if you play it in the same turn as a Sejuani or an Archer.
Now,
but we've seen Harsh Winds Reckoning plays swing this matchup before.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's not impossible to get value off of Reckoning. It's just not useful early in the game, because generally speaking, like you said, I mean, Harsh Winds, you do Harsh Winds and Reckoning, that's a 12 mana play. That's super late game. It's not going to be impactful anytime soon. And these Hearthguards are going to be impactful now and later, not just the candy. I mean, this game. And we'll see if we do get one down here. Notably, though, Fresh Lobster doesn't have the attack token on turn 5, which is kind of disappointing. Doesn't really have a choice but to play the Hearthguard here, though, I think, unless he maybe goes the Ice Veil Archer route to kind of stave off some aggression and then also get the Yeti down and bank some spell mana. There's also a route he could take.
So I have an update for you. As these 2 players move into game number 4 here, every other top 4 player has already been decided.
Yep. Yeah, well, we knew that.
So these guys started first, going to finish last. Based on the hands, it looks like we're going to game 5.
Yep. Why did we... you jinxed it. I blame you. I blame you. You had to give Lobster crap earlier for taking a while, and now look where we are. Look where we are, Boulevard. Jesus.
I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, it's 6 o'clock. I want to leave by like 10 o'clock. That might not happen.
Wow. So I don't know. Actually, the EU tournament went pretty fast earlier today.
Yeah, I was surprised at that. I don't know if they played additional rounds today because I think it only went for like 5 hours.
Yeah, well, when it's usually like 8, which is impressive. Like just like genuinely impressive.
Yeah, but if you guys are wondering what the rest of the top 4 looks like, on the other side of the bracket we have Zinc versus Type B or Type V rather, who they have started their game, and the winner of this one is going to go on to face Nola Gold.
Yeah, so one way or the other, some pretty stacked top 4 players here. Could have Freshlobster versus Nola Gold, which would be a pretty hype matchup. Could have Gavone versus Nola Gold. Gavone, relatively a newcomer in comparison to some of these other players, but showing some impressive gameplay over the last couple of weeks for sure. This just in, by the way, we do have another card that was revealed.
How many card reveals have happened during this match?
Oh, probably 2. Probably 2. A solid 2. It is a 3-cost spell, slow speed, for Targon, called Crescent Strike, and it stuns 2 enemies. 3-cost slow, stun 2 enemies. So, interesting. Yasuo will say, what? Yasuo's still bad? Yasuo wishes he was Leona at this point, unfortunately.
So, Lobster really has a commanding position on the board. As we mentioned, this Reckoning from Chad, not going to do anything. This Yeti doesn't look appealing. We're off turn on the Sejuani turn. And it looks like Lobster, with this Harsh Winds and this Flash Freeze available, might be considering trying to go for lethal here. I don't think he's quite frozen enough units for that. I think he will be one off. So just kind of thinking, is there a way that I navigate this where I actually get full value out of my Ashe and Trifarian Glory Seeker? The answer is no. Just going to trade the Glory Seeker for Gavone's Ashe and then start to redevelop the board.
Yeah, and I do like that because, again, like you said, something like Harsh Winds plus the Flash Freeze puts him in a situation where he could go for lethal on one of these turns, level this Ashe, and that's one of the kind of surprise ways to victory with this mid-range Frostbite deck, with this Ashe effect. It's not every day, it's not every game that we see this deck win with the can't block effect of the Ashe, but when it does, it happens really quick and comes out of nowhere, and we'll see if that is exactly what happens here over the next couple of turns. And just to update everybody as well, if you are just joining us, I know we have, some people might have joined a little bit late. You coming in, you want us to catch the top 4, catch the finals. We got a surprise for you guys later. We have an announcement to make. We had some guesses in chat. It might be a card reveal. Who knows? Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Maybe Boulevard's right. We're really going to turn into some dragons. Who knows? A lot of stuff could happen.
I know. I have the information. I could spill it right now. I know.
There is a 99% chance that anything Boulevard says about this secret or this reveal is completely false. So
I am known for my honesty. I am also known for just saying the most buck wild things on the planet.
Oh, man.
Yeah, this Assessor, Lobster with the double Hearthguard Assessor, we could see Gavone scoop right now. I don't think that would be unreasonable.
I don't know. Has he even scooped? If anything, he's going to kill himself. Wow, that sounded... All right, guys.
You might want to clarify on that one.
I just want to clarify. When I say that, I mean basically play a card that brings his own Nexus or deck down to 0 cards or 0 health. Just want to throw that one out there. But Jesus,
what happened to the positive attack?
I know, right? That went real dark real fast.
So Lobster could lose his Ashe here. I think the Flash Freeze for this is a pretty okay trade, unless that is just an Ashe. Yeah, might as well get the healthier Ashe down. It does. So if this Ashe evolves into a 6/4, it's actually going to become a 6/3, and it can still get traded onto by things like the Iceveil Archer and the Avarice and Trappers. So instead going to let this one die to get a little bit of a healthier Ashe down next round. It's not like there's any punish for not open attacking here. We are still 1 turn off of 12 mana, which is what you need for that Harsh Winds Reckoning, which is sort of the only hope that I feel like Gavone has in this matchup. Probably needs an Assessor top deck here. But even then, you're only going to get 2 draws as that Assessor has not been buffed up.
Yeah, a couple problems with Assessor is, sure, you're getting 2 draws, but A, nothing is buffed in your deck. You don't have the Hearthguard buffs like Freshlobster does over here. And B, 2 cards is not going to do too much to catch you up to the 7 cards in the hand of Freshlobster. Now 6 after playing this Glory Seeker. The 7/3 Glory Seeker, might I add, feels really good. basically can trade with anything on the board. This open attack might just kind of do it here, especially with the harsh winds. Draws a Sejuani too, and nothing in Gavone's hand is going to do absolutely anything about this onslaught of attack that Freshlobster is going to have this turn.
And I think Lobster, it actually is better to kill the Yeti than your opposing Sejuani, just because if you kill Sejuani, your opponent can play Sejuani. But it also takes Fury of the North top decks off the table, so maybe that's what you're considering here.
What are you really concerned with the Fury of the North, though? Like, okay, one of your superior buffed units leaves the field because of Fury of the North. Like, I don't think that's too big of a concern at this point.
I think it's more of, if you Fury of the North, then something can block if I go for an Ash Lethal.
Now, what hooks the Sejuani is the questione here. Otherwise, everything pretty much trades, and I think Gavone is kind of forced to trade most of his board, right? All these 3 attack, this...
he actually only has to block one thing, and then he'll live at 3.
Yeah, he is at 20.
And there's no Fury of the North mana available for Lobster.
Could just throw the Sentry underneath the Hearthguard over here, and like you said, yeah, live at 3. That might be what happens. We'll see how much life Gavone wants to keep here. It looks like he is going to actually line up all the blocks. Okay, you want to stay up there.
I think he knows that his only chance at winning this game is Reckoning, and you lose all of these units to Reckoning anyway. Okay, there was a puzzle piece here, or second Reckoning was not the puzzle piece.
This card, the absolute worst card of this matchup, not what Gavone wants to draw. And yeah, I mean, now even an Assessor does absolutely nothing drawing that. Reckoning, obviously going to do nothing here as well. Actually hurts his field more than his opponent's field. Yeah, this game is looking to be in limbo. Going to go in the favor of Freshlobster.
No, Omen Hawk is not Harsh Winds.
And
Captain Pharaon coming out on turn 9 again for Lobster. Oh, boy.
Yep, and this is going to be going to a game 5. Freshlobster taking it to a game 5 after an hour and 17 minutes of gameplay. Let's go. Need all the 90 minutes for this game. I think, is that the time limit for best of 5? Is it 90 minutes? I mean, I don't think there's a time limit.
There's no time limit.
Yeah, but
there's not.
If there were time limits in best of 5, is it 90 minutes?
Typically.
Yeah.
When I played Force of Will, it was like 50 minutes for Swiss rounds, 60 minutes for top 8, 90 minutes for finals. I know Magic does untimed top cut.
All right, I'm gonna see the challenge come out. Limbo, we are here.
Yeah, this is. There's nothing that Gavone can top deck to stop the Ash Lethal next turn.
Yeah, even if
or just the Farron Lethal, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't matter. It's game over. That's it.
Look at all them destinies.
Yeah, Freshlobster in the lead here. And again, I gotta say, you know, I
finally gets the Harsh Winds Reckoning, and that actually does mean that if we go for an Ash Lethal,
a little late.
I mean, we could lose a couple of our units. I think that I don't think the Harsh Winds Reckoning matters here because and we even Ice Veil Archer, so the Reckoning's off the table. What? Lobster, what are you doing to this man? I know he took the mental victory over you last game with that Riptide Flex and the 3 damage warning shot. Like, you don't gotta do him like this. Like, I think Lobster knows he has Reckoning and has been like kind of holding on for that, and he's just like, get it out of here.
This. You don't even need to do this. Why is he doing? This is just complete.
You have Gavone. You have invoked the wrath of an angry god, and in game number 5, you better try to pick it up in what is historically going to be a favored matchup for Lobster. This Karma Ezreal versus the Frostbite midrange.
Oh my god! Why? So are we saying historically just because of like being tired at this point? Just
no, we're saying historically based on the 20 times we've watched this matchup and the 17 times that Karma Ezreal has walked away with the win.
Yeah, this particular matchup, Karma Ezreal definitely has the advantage here. This could be the end of Gavone's run. We'll see here if Freshlobster wins. He takes on Nola Gold in the top 4 next, which should be a spicy matchup. If Gavone wins, he will do the same. So we'll see who's able to take away game 5 here.
So, there has been an important update for the tournament. Now, I can't speak to top 8. It's a pretty safe bet that it wasn't there either. But now that top 4 has been all but confirmed between these 5 players, you know, even taking whether Lobster or Gavone goes into top cut here into account, for the first time in a month or a couple of months, like a month and a half, no spooky karma in the top 4 for North America Duels of Runeterra.
Hey-o!
We are free from the curse. I know there was a spooky karma in the finals of EU today.
Hey-o, partay! Let's go, baby. So this, well, actually, if Lobster wins, we might we might have another long series between him and Nola Gold, but no spooky karma at the very least. So that's a small win, small step for mankind, giant leap for us casters.
Holy moly!
Wow.
Chad's got a gaggle of Avarosian Hearth cards. He's got the whole Hearth on deck.
We're gonna go. He's got. Oh man, a gaggle? We're really gonna go with a gaggle for Avarosian.
I think I want to say that he's got the Hearth. I mean, these are the Hearth guards, and apparently this is just Fort Knox over
all the
here.
Hearth.
That's a double. Oh, that's a double pun because his last name is Knox.
Oh boy. Oh man, yeah. Lucky in chat. That Hearth is hella protected. Nobody getting in that Hearth, and I don't know. You know, I mean, Gavone doesn't really have a lot of aggression, right? Like he's got these multiple Hearth cards to buff up the rest of his deck, but unfortunately, he doesn't have anything really early to play but this lone Omen Hawk, which is not going to be doing too much for him right here.
As weird as it sounds, I think the triple Hearth guard is really bad in this matchup.
Yeah.
We're not seeing a lot of damage-based removal in the current iterations of Karma Ezreal, so while your units are going to be more or less immune to that, it's mostly stun effects that you have to be worried about. And if you're not playing aggressively early on, these stun effects just get better and better as the late game goes on. You know, you're only having so many threats out. I only have to stun them once. Maybe you get to a point where, like, because Lobster hasn't used any stun effects in so long, you actually just get to overwhelm him in the one turn where, like, you throw out 6 5-attack units and he's got to stun 3 things and he just doesn't have the mana for it, or, like, it takes all of his mana and then next turn you just do it again. But, you know, as long as you're developing units, Lobster, as long as he's not feeling threatened, should be pretty easily getting to this Ezreal level up, and then you don't have a whole lot to stop you from getting that Karma Ezreal down and have to be Culling Strike onto the Karma alongside a Ice Veil Archer or a Flash Freeze, something along those lines.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Look at this board. You have Gavone with just a lone Ashe and an Omen Hawk on the board right now. Freshlobster with all the options in the world. This is just not looking too hot for Gavone. Not really being able to put aggression on, get any tempo going, get any momentum going. Sure, you got the 2 damage with the Omen Hawk, but not really going to go too far with that. Drawing a Deep Meditation, too. We have 2 Deep Meditations in the hand of Freshlobster, so if he does happen to run out of tools at some point soon, he's going to be able to refill and restock his hand quite nicely there. Even has the Deny to prevent anything crazy from happening, like a Reckoning, which Reckoning and Culling Strike are the only deniable targets in this matchup, right? Or is there one I'm missing?
No, it is just those. Oh, I guess if you want to be cheeky, Enchanted Crystal Arrow.
Okay, all right, we can deny the no. Well, I mean, yeah, that might be a thing later. I don't know.
That's like a reasonable deny target.
Yeah. Again, feels bad denying a 2-mana spell, but you know, it's a pretty big spell.
Yeah, it's important. So, the one thing that does play well for Gavone here, now that the Assessor's in hand, is while these Hearth guards do get stunned out, they do stick around on board.
Yeah, they are beefy. They are going to be hard to deal with. I mean, Freshlobster does have the option to just kind of like, you know, stun them over and over again, which seems to be the route he might take. He can also block one of them here with the 3-2 that pops out of this Concussive Palm, bring one of them down to 2, has a Mystic Shot to finish it off, and also, very importantly, has this one of Yone in his deck that will be able to come down on his opponent's next attack turn.
I'm pretty sure Gavone fires off a Brittle Steel here. This is about the only time that you actually get to use these, and I do like using them as proactively as possible to actually get you towards that Ashe level up. Not going to be the case. Probably going to see the Elixir to defend us from the Mystic Shot then, but Lobster does have 2 copies of that. And I'm really surprised not to see the Brittle Steel come out here, unless we're trying to save as many Frostbite effects as possible since we don't have the Harsh Winds yet, and we do just want to go for an Ashe lethal.
I got to agree with you. I really would like to see the Brittle Steel here. You're not going to get a whole lot of value in it later on in the game. Like you said, he does have the Elixir of Iron. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm trying to think from this point on, what does Gavone, like, what does he play to? Are we playing to a Crystal Arrow here? Like, just a really big attack turn with a Crystal Arrow? Like, what's the game plan?
I think it's going to have to be really big development, burst speed Frostbite effects to freeze out as many units as possible, go for that Ashe lethal with, like, 25 damage on board. Because you're not really going to get in a lot of chip damage. I've talked a lot about how there's this really awkward play line on the side of the Frostbite mid-range in this matchup, where if you open attack, they're typically pretty weak, and you just get stunned out. But if you don't open attack, Concussive Palm and Yone both effectively act as stopping 2 attacks.
So this is interesting on the side of Lobster. I don't hate it. It does obviously cycle a little bit to get you closer to that Karma and Ezreal, which it seems like he's prioritizing at this point. You do get the second spell off still. Looks like he wants to try to save those Mystic shots for as long as possible. I mean, those can, potentially give you your win condition as well, being able to fire up multiple spells. And actually, seeing this Dragon Link come down too, the Brittle Steel has to come out here, because if it is blocked by either Hearthguard, they both become vulnerable to Mystic Shot, or one just straight up dies.
Yeah, I don't know how much the 2 life mattered, because you are going in multiples of 5 theoretically. It does make a bit of sense to try and keep your opponent lower than that, especially because now that we have triple Hearthguard out, the math gets a lot more awkward than it does in your typical Frostbite matchup. Now you're going to be dealing in off sort of numerals. You're going to have some 6 attack units in there. You're going to have some 8 attack units in there. Things get a little bit sketchy. And I think that because you are in a situation where now any 5 attack unit that you draw is representing 8 damage, Sejuani could be up to 9 perhaps, Ashe probably going to be up to 9, does mean that you only need 2 or 3 attacks to actually end your opponent. Those are obviously going to be the big stun targets. Those have a target on their head for things like the Steel Tempest and the Concussive Palm. We're going to see double Mystic Shot out of Lobster to take this one out, understanding that these are going to be extremely ineffective against any unit coming off the top from Gavone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so at least able to clear one of these Avarician Hearthguards off the field here. Also, critically going to be able to trigger another Dragonling summon, and with this second Eye of the Dragon, going to get 2 on the board to be able to block both Hearthguards next turn, and very, very nicely kind of sneak in that sweet, sweet 3 spell mana. Always feels good when you just kind of perfectly line up in a tune to save that mana. So I'm sure that feels good on the side of Lobster. And feeling pretty safe going into this turn. Draws another Mystic Shot. So if he does block this Hearthguard, the 5/4, with something like a Dragonling, this Mystic Shot will be able to take that one out as well. But might have to deal with an Ashe. So do we see the Yone come down?
Probably. I mean, this is about as good as your Yone gets, right? You can find value later on as Gavone builds up a bigger and bigger board, but I think that this does behoove you to some extent.
All right, why don't you kind of want the 5/4 to attack to block with the Dragonling? Why would he prefer to put the damage onto the 5/5?
Because I think he's just killing it with Yone.
Oh, he just wants to trade the 5/5 with Yone. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So now 4 draws out of Gavone, 4/4 Omen Hawks in hand. They're looking pretty good.
Yeah. Also, I mean, yeah, oh my god. Yeah, 2 deep med. I don't see any reason why Freshlobster... I mean, Freshlobster at this point needs to get incredibly unlucky and just not draw into this Karma Ezreal combo here in a couple turns. Again, going ahead and getting off some more draw. We see 2 Rummage in hand as well. He's 1 Karma away from winning this game. This game gets blown open with a Karma.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, once all of a sudden... the damage-based removal, surprisingly, doesn't really get much more effective with Karma out. A double Gotcha still doesn't kill any of the 5/5s that are coming out of your opponent's deck. Once Ashe is leveled, double Gotcha doesn't even kill her, as she'll be a 9/7.
That's a big Ashe. See what I did there?
Unfortunately. Oh, actually gonna contemplate discarding the Steel Tempest.
I don't know about that. I feel like Steel Tempest is super, super good. I've been much higher on that card as of late. I think it's a great tempo play. But it's going to find the Ezreal at least, and a Chump Wump. So has some fuel to add to this Ezreal fire here if he is able to get it on the board. Would still like a Karma, though. We'll see. Top deck Karma. Here we go. No, that is not a Karma. So now how do we go about finishing out this game? Also have a Culling Strike on the side of Gavone, right? So that is a way that he can remove this Ezreal if it does come down. It's going to be difficult for Freshlobster to get the Ezreal to stick, at any point, really, before this Karma comes down. Oh, this is really tough spot for Lobster to be in.
Lobster is actually in a little bit of a scary position as long as this Ashe is on board for Gavone, who does have 2 Harsh Winds and a Brittle Steel in hand. No matter how big your board is, he's going to be able to actually Frostbite all of it.
Which means big Ashe attack.
and we discarded a Steel Tempest away. I mean, like, theoretically, if, depending on how Lobster plays his turn, if he doesn't go for removal on anything, we could see Gavone OTK Lobster next turn.
And this is exactly what I was talking about last game in the mirror match. These, like, one-turn kills out of this Ash level up with the no block effect absolutely come out of nowhere. Like, you think the game is so even, so, like, you know, back and forth, it could be anybody's game, and suddenly, boom, you got 2 harsh winds coming down your throat, staring you down, and you can't do a single thing about it. All right.
So the Ash is going to get taken care of here. This does mean that that card is off the table for Gavone, who could play an Assessor to draw a couple more cards. I'm trying to look at his hand space to figure out how this is going to work out, because you are going to draw 4 if you play something like an Omen Hawk. So yeah, you actually can play the Assessor here, get the 4 draws, that'll fill up your hand, and then you can go ahead and just play another card. You can just probably throw away.
Can we just...
So, I mean, you could overdraw.
Can we just
it's up to
talk about how there's 2 4/4 Omen Hawks on the field?
Yeah, them Hearthguards did work. I think one of the problems that Gavone is running into is, even though he got down triple Hearthguard, it took a while before he actually started drawing units that were buffed by the Hearthguards.
Yep.
These Omen Hawks are really the first ones that we saw. Now, maybe you get Sejuani down here. I think just having that large Overwhelm unit is pretty good for you, and as long as you don't have Ash, you don't have that Harsh Winds Lethal available to you, so you kind of just have to table that discussion until you can find her.
Yeah, looks like we're going to dig a little bit more. I mean, the more spells he draws out of the deck, the more likely he is to find this Karma finally. Will he be able to find it? Because at this point, that is what he needs to close out this game. I think he is already going to get the Dragonlings, though, right? He played 2, so he played the Gotcha, and there's one other mana missing. He played some Rummage? Was it Rummage this turn?
I think it was Rummage Gotcha.
Yeah, okay.
No, Rummage was last turn, right?
I don't know. There's 4 mana missing. He must... Oh, wait. Well, yeah, that's Gotcha.
Well, yeah, Gotcha's 4 mana.
And did he have spell mana or no?
I think he had 1 spell mana. So yeah, I think he did Rummage.
I don't see why.
I know he rummaged. I just didn't think it was last turn for some reason.
Oh no.
Oh, actually no.
Wow.
Doesn't get the Dragonlings.
That is surprising to me. He could have easily gotten them with the Deep Med. Maybe thinking, okay, I'm gonna try to get those for the following turn on my attack turn. Maybe. We'll see what Gavone decides to do to start off the turn here. Now, does not have an Ash, notably, so we can't do any OTK shenanigans with these harsh winds. Does have the Sejuani, like you mentioned, to possibly get down an Overwhelm unit. And summoning an... Jesus. An 8/8 Trapper. Just this board is just absolutely ridiculous. Only in a Karma Ezreal matchup would this happen.
Yeah.
Wow. And, you know, notably, this Yone is still able to trade with some of this stuff. So that's you know, Yone just showing how powerful he can really be with that 6/6 body. Being a huge advantage. I think, is he just like forced to block with a Eye of the Dragon now? I think he's really going to be kicking himself for not getting those Dragonlings.
I'm a little surprised that Gavone went for such a weak attack, and I say weak because he could have gotten down a Sejuani over one of these Omen Hawks. I mean, even if the 4/4s connect, it's kind of whatever. You're basically killing your opponent in 2 hits anyway. You know, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't really matter that much. Maybe you're killing your opponent 2 hits regardless of what you actually hit them with. You know, there's not a lot of difference between Lobster being at 1 HP and 10 HP at this point.
I gotta say, for how bad this matchup usually is for mid-range Frostbite, I like how Gavone's playing this. I mean, those Hearthguards in the beginning definitely are not good. I mean, you're not really putting pressure on your opponent with the Karma Ezreal deck. But now, because Freshlobster still can't find the Karma Ezreal, this board is just ridiculously difficult to deal with. Like, he's deciding to not block 2 Omen Hawks, but is still taking 13 damage this turn. Like, that's insane.
And we're going to Brittle Steel to protect the Assessors so that we can still get a good amount of Assessor draws. Going to get 4 of those, I believe, when all is said and done, assuming we play the Assessor right now. And we also free up a little bit of hand space to actually get that down.
Yep, and gonna just go for the Ezreal here, and just gonna get, I think, oh wait, does he have deny mana? He does, right?
He does,
okay.
But oh no, Gavone 1 mana shy of actually going for double Calling Strike,
yep.
And I think he is in a pretty good position to draw another one here.
Yeah, is
but
playing
Lobster.
The 3.
I mean, Lobster has 5 burst spells in hand.
Yeah, and only needs, I mean, well, and one of them, you know, draws more spells. So, not to mention, if he does, you know, pull the Culling Strike here and then go for the deny, that's right there, 2 damage. So, it's very possible that Freshlobster might actually be able to find a win here without having to find the Karma. Does another Culling Strike get drawn? Yeah. Oh, yeah, right there. 2 Culling Strike.
Unfortunately, that gives Lobster damage from the deny.
Yep.
Because you cannot play both Calling Strike this turn because you did use the Brittle Steel. And Lobster, I mean, Lobster's also going to put a bunch of Shrooms in your deck, so he might not have to find that last spell to deal the last 2 damage. It could just be, you know, draws from the Shrooms. Luckily for Gavone, does get the Assessor off before that happens.
Yeah, this might be game next turn with these burst spells, because Rummage, you're going to get 2 spells from Deep Med. You're going to get Rummage to get free draws, which could potentially just draw you more burst spells. You could even find a Karma, and if you find a Karma, that's just game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure you just go Shroom 1 mana or 0 mana Thermo Beam here. Or maybe, I mean, you do need cards to discard to the Rummage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think you're worried about saving the mana with the Thermo Beam here. You can just save the Shroom if you do need to discard it. And yeah, this is looking to be game for Freshlobster. No way for Gavone to really heal here. We'll see if he's got it. I'm pretty sure he does. Static Shock. Probably going to get discarded, to be honest with you, but we'll see.
Maybe not. We are now at an odd life total.
Yeah.
And we're going to open up with the attacks. So opening with the attacks is really important, because if you do end up needing to play a slow speed spell like Static Shock, your opponent can kill the Ezreal in response. Now your opponent has to kill the Ezreal in response to the attack so that you can't get the Mystic Shot out. Instead, Gavone going to go for the Harsh Winds to prevent that, which means he does now have the Calling Strike available to play in response to a fast spell.
Yep.
But I still don't think he can win. Lobster, if he wants to play every burst speed spell card in his hand, will put Gavone at 1 and then can kill him with a Static Shock next turn.
Well, no, not even. 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 10 mana in hand. I think he actually has it. He can play the Deep Med, discard with both Rummages. Oh, wait. 1, 2.
I don't know if he can discard with both.
No, he can. He can. He can discard both these spells with Rummage, draw 2, discard those draws with the other Rummage, and then and then he has a Shroom, and then he has Static Shot, and that's just game. Is game. Ooh. And if he does find like another burst spell, then it's definitely game. So I think he's got this. Yep, here we go.
That perfect chef's kiss mana.
I love it. And even finds the Mystic Shot. Do you play? I guess you play the Mystic Shot is more.
It doesn't matter.
All right, but hey, there's a correct decision to be made there. Okay.
Yeah, it's Static Shock. It is the cooler animation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Animation for the win. Yep. Wow.
So Lobster, making his tournament return, has found his way into a top 4 and will be going up against Nola Gold. And Zinc on the other side of the bracket, already 2-0 up on his opponent half an hour ago.
All right, so we are going to see Freshlobster and Nola Gold here for the top 4. That's going to be a fire matchup. Like, I am super excited to see 2 huge players, wicked skilled at the game, just absolutely incredible players, going to go head-to-head here in the top 4. And right before we reveal the surprise here at the end of the tournament, right after the finals, going to go ahead and reveal what we've been cooking. We've been cooking this up for all you Duels of Runeterra fans out there. Pretty excited to be able to bring this to you guys. But before that, we're going to go ahead and take it to a quick break so we can go ahead and get set up for this game and bring you Nola Gold versus Freshlobster coming right up. Alright, so unfortunately, Freshlobster gonna end Gavone's streak. By the way, I said whatever you want to call him. I guess he prefers Gavone from what we heard, so go with Gavone. Go with Gavone. Little, kind of weird saying the Chad as often as we did previously. Yeah, so anyways, as always, everybody, stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you, and peace out.